So I want you to take a look at this, and in general, really the truth behind all these diets is they actually all pretty much work, you know, fortunately and unfortunately. And they work because they are short-term. All these in green especially, they're meant for short-term. And is it good for your body? No, it's not. You guys all know that, you know? So the truth is they actually all work, but the trick is you can't really sustain any of these. And this is really about way of life, right? How we eat. In general, you know, all these are just kind of like a one-size-fits-all diet. So our focus is really like, what is the appropriate nutrition for you? And in Chinese medicine, we have what's called the 5 element, okay? So I kind of translate Chinese. I memorize this in Chinese, so every time I think of this, I'm like, okay, how do I, what is that? Okay. So Chinese therapeutic medicine really focuses on how we eat, what is fitting for our body, and also how we eat toward how our energy is coincide with the environment. Okay, so the environment really is, we have, you guys know the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Is that familiar? Okay, so this is something that we get from the earth, right? So wood, you know, wood against wood, you create fire. Fire, after it burns, it turns into ashes, into earth. And earth, deep down, you get the metal, and then condensation turns into water and back into wood. So these are what we call also body types as well. So this is what we call 5 elements. So when you're taking the body assessment, it talks about wood type, fire type, earth type, metal type, and water. And every element actually is also associated with an organ system. So wood is liver, gallbladder, and fire is the heart, small intestines, earth is spleen and stomach, and metal is lung, large intestine, and water is kidney. So you can think of wood more as liver function in Western medicine is circulation, okay, also detoxification. Fire, it's more for people who are prone to heart disease, circulation problems. Earth is more for people who are very grounded, down to earth, but they spleen and stomach, they tend to have digestive issues, metabolism issues. Metal, a lot of lung issues, so maybe allergies and whatnot. And then water is kidney, maybe some libido, reproductive functions and whatnot. So wood type have more of a rectangular face and olive skin, and they're highly motivated, and they have a really strong personality, and they're very confident, high energy, intense, smart, decisive, and also responsible and very competitive. And wood types tend to be very stubborn as well. So people who are more type A, they don't like to budge. That's more wood type. And they're susceptible to more cardiovascular, also nervous system. So imagine if you're always kind of type A, go, 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 you tend to have more nervous system. Your sympathetic system is always kind of on hyperdrive, okay, or overdrive. And you tend to get headaches or eye disorders, neck pain, shoulder pain, throat constriction, kind of like what we call a plum pit, where you're kind of feeling like there's something stuck in your throat. That's emotions, you know? And then acid reflux, and also high blood pressure, okay? So if you know that you're a wood type, and usually you'll discover you're not gonna have, oh my gosh, this is totally me, nothing else is me. You're gonna see a little combination of everything in it, you know, what you are. So with the wood element, what you wanna do, like relaxation is the key, okay? So hiking or surfing or being out in the woods is really good for the wood type, okay? And then the fire type has, if you think of fire, what is the energy of fire? very creative, very passionate, always on the go, high intensity, and tend to have more of a triangular face. So their face would kind of be more like that, okay? And then the wood is kind of more like a, kind of like that kind of face type. And then, and you'll see fire types too tend to sometimes have like thicker eyebrows or more angular eyebrows, or their lips tend to be a little bit curvy up. So fire, everything is kind of up. Cheekbones are also a little bit high. And they're always kind of laughing and giggling, okay? And they're also very charismatic, spontaneous, ambitious. They like to connect with people on an emotional level. They're also susceptible to cardiovascular disease, and they tend to be susceptible also to anxiety, insomnia, restlessness, vivid dreams. And they also get a lot of stress and tension. And for women, some menstrual problems as well. And also fire element is just to keep grounded. And yoga, meditation, tai chi is really good for the fire people to help them keep grounded because they're so up on the go, very flighty all the time. Okay? And then earth people tend to have an oval face, more rounded, fleshy. Okay? So more fleshy, like a little bit more cheeky, like me, cheeky, okay? A little bit fleshy. And if you think of earth, the energy of the earth is more grounding, right? Earth. So earth people are actually very nurturing. They're always worried about you instead of themselves. They're the type of person who's always the best host. What do you need? What can I get for you? Making sure you're great, you're fine. So they're very earthy people, okay? And they don't adapt to change well, because if you think of people who are earthy, they like to stay grounded in their home bodies. And also earth people are family oriented, have great friends, and they're good at achieving personal goals. The only thing, earth people, they actually tend to worry and think too much. So when they worry and think too much, what happens is they have digestive issues. Like I said, also earth is in charge of your metabolism. You guys know that your gut actually has a lot of nerves, right? So that's why a lot of times when we get stressed out or whatnot, we get stomach aches or we get diarrhea or constipation, because our body's reacting to all the nerves in our gut. Okay, so sometimes we say, oh, I have a nervous stomach. Literally, you're having a nervous stomach. So earth people are more prone to bloating or gas or having a hard time digesting food. So let's just say if you're the earth type, you really want to stay away from raw foods and those juicing diets. Okay, but if you absolutely need to be put on, let's just say, a juice diet, make sure there's like ginger in there or something warming, a warm spice in there to help warm up the cold cooling properties of the raw vegetables. So they're not good for juice cleanses. And then metal types are very slender. They have high cheekbones and they're very elegant. So metal people, if you see like down the runway, a lot of the models, they're usually more the metal type. Okay, they're slender and they're just very elegant, and they are very authoritative. People command. Because of the high cheekbones, a lot of people actually see them as a leader. Okay, that's face reading, and also they have a hard time of letting go. Earth is actually metal is actually related to lung, which the emotions related to is actually sadness. So a lot of times the people who are a little bit metal, they actually have a hard time of grieving properly, okay? Or they don't like people to know how they're feeling. And metal people also tend to be more organized as well. So you go to their home, you know they're metal because they're very organized. They know exactly where everything is. And they're also very poised and proper, and they strive for perfection. Okay, so if it's not right, they get really upset. So they actually, it's hard to criticize them because they take it really personally, and they also are very critical of themselves as well. So something that the metal element need to work on is really letting go of that. You know, working on yourself, working on relaxing a little bit more. Okay. And the water element tend to be very, do you guys know Dr. Mao? So for me, I always think water, I mean, he's got different types, but his energy is very water to me, because he's always kind of just moving around, and he would do Tai Chi, like out, you guys don't see this, but when he's out in the hallway, if he goes to a patient, he's like going to do his Tai Chi, and then he goes to the room. So he's very water element, okay? They tend to just kind of go into their own rhythm of things. They're the type of people who's always late for things. So if you have friends, or you yourself, if you're late for appointments or whatnot, that's usually water, because they're kind of in their own world, you know? Like, oh, what time was my appointment? You know, so, and they actually tend to be very creative as well. Okay, so they're creative, and they kind of move things like in a flow, like water. And they're very loyal people, and but they have a difficulty time trusting people as well. And they're also very seductive, but people don't know it just because they're so charming. Okay, and but sometimes they have a hard time opening up to other people. And with water type, if you're water type, you need to watch out, because you're more susceptible to maybe like kidney stuff. And when I say kidney in Chinese medicine, it's really, you've got the reproductive function, you've got the, you know, male reproductive function, female male reproductive function. You also have bladder issues, or so during this time, actually water is really important part of my practice. I see a lot of women for women's health and fertility, and we treat a lot of the kidneys per se, because you want to tonify this water element, because we're trying to strengthen your reproductive function, okay? And also water element people tend to have, you know, weak knees. So sometimes if your doctor is asking you, suspecting maybe you have a kidney deficiency, they'll say, oh, are you prone to back pains, or do you have knee pains? Or do you have, you know, difficulty holding urine sometimes, or you pee too much, or whatever it is, okay? That's more of the water element, okay? So any questions with the elements? Did you guys fill out?
Which shape face is associated with water? So
water is also more like, not as fleshy as the earth, but more kind of like a little bit, like also almost a little bit cheeky as well, okay?
Can you be more than one, like a blend?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if I have Patrician's book up here. No, I don't have her book, but there's a face reading book here, I think we used to have here, and she also, there's examples of face types. Do you have it back? Oh, okay, yeah, great, thanks. I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
So you can be more than one?
Yes, absolutely. Like, when you look at these, I mean, I see definitely, I feel like I'm all of them, you know? And you have a little, but you have definitely your core self, you know? Like, okay, this is definitely me. I'm a lot more this, you know, but I have a little bit of fire, I have a little bit of earth, and I have and you also find yourself in different situations being a different thing, you know? So it's a combination of who you really think you are, and also what kind of illnesses or not illnesses, what your personality type is, okay? So that's your constitution. But then of course there's, like we talked about, being more individualized. So let's just say if you're coming in to one of us for nutritional counseling, you know, it's not like, it's like, oh, okay, I usually assess the big picture, okay? So, all right, you have spleen qi deficiency. I need to work on strengthening your spleen, but at the same time, you got a little bit of liver qi stagnation, okay? So that's what we say in Chinese medicine. So that means you got digestive issues. You got, you know, when I see that you fill out the survey for me, I see you had a lot of bloating, a lot of gas, constipation, or diarrhea, or you tend to worry a lot, you overthink, and you tend to think about one thing all the time, and then you also have a plump pit in your throat, and you feel lethargic and no motivation. So that's my specific diagnosis for you, a combination of the earth element, spleen, and then a combination of wood. So I would actually give you a diet specific focused on these two types, you know, and then our body changes as we get better and better. Maybe, you know, you will always eat more earth, you know, or maybe sometimes you're going through difficult times and you have more sadness, you know, I would maybe have you eat foods that are a little bit more metal, okay? So it's kind of constitutionally based at the same time depending on what you're going through in your life.